Yeah. All right, boys and girls, Mad Hatter Nation. Good morning. How you doing? I know it seems like it's just a Wednesday, just a January 7th, 2026. Just a normal Wednesday, right? Like, why are you so hype, Hat? Why are you so hibbity hype? Well, boys and girls, no, I'm not hype about John Harbaugh losing his job. That's an unfortunate thing that I don't disagree or don't agree with, and we'll talk more about that. But in case you guys didn't notice, I'm not dancing. You're dancing. That's right. It was announced yesterday that the Detroit Lions have shit can Johnny Mo screens, which means no Mo screens in Motown. Goodbye. See you later. After having play calling duties ripped away from him in the middle of the season, the Lions said, yeah, it isn't going to happen. And I'll be honest, he tried to suckle at the teat of the easy paycheck. I'm just happy to be here. Woo-hoo-hoo. Just that typical, I just connected a dot, and that's probably why I don't like John Morton so much. He is that quintessential, I'm just happy to be here. I contribute absolutely nothing, and I just draw a grossly overinflated paycheck for a job that is effectively redundant. My manager does the majority of the lifting for me, and my subordinates do everything. I am merely a babysitter, not for nothing, but John Morton is as effective and as valued to the Detroit Lions as Somali daycares are to Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's about the same amount of value that he brought to the Detroit Lions. So again, I will reiterate, normally we don't get all hibbity hype over people losing their job. It's generally an unfortunate situation. He just becomes another statistic in the ever-increasing unemployment numbers. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a little victory lap. Do our little dance. Yeah, go ahead. It's okay. Guy, you can go ahead and dance. The bad man's gone. The bad man, he's gone. No more Johnny Morton. So that is a good thing for us. But we will talk about that. First and foremost, we will be discussing not the complete inverse. And I'm not even a Ravens guy, dude. You guys know I don't really like Baltimore. I was a Ray Lewis, Jamal Lewis. I actually did like Smoking Joe Flacco for a little bit. There were Ravens teams that I liked, but I'm not a scary sparkle guy. Right? I like Derrick Henry. That's okay. But I'm not a scary sparkle spice guy. And I'm a John Harbaugh guy. I just don't agree with this. We talked about this yesterday. In 18 years, the guy had 3 less than 500 seasons. And of those 3 years, 2 of them were missed by like a game. Come on now, man. Super Bowl winning coach? Bro. Now, there have been some reports that, if you count the Baltimore Ravens yesterday, there are 7 job openings in the NFL, and John Harbaugh has received 7 or more phone calls, which leads you to believe that somebody is not going to be head coach. Now, let's be honest. The narrative is going to be John Harbaugh becomes the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Come on now. That's super duper the narrative that's going to be peddled and pushed and probably spoken into existence if we're not careful. But we'll talk about John Harbaugh fired after his 18th season ends with missing the playoffs. They had to have a play-in, and now they're played out. And I don't blame John Harbaugh. I blame Scary Sparkle Spice. But onward with our news, we'll then talk about, of course, John Morton after 1 season, and Lions fire John Morton. Notice that ESPN not sugarcoating. Lions fired John Morton, not John Morton and Detroit Lions part ways. Not the Lions are separating with John Morton after 1 season. No, flat out, Lions fire OC John Morton after 1 season, which, of course, then begs the question, who is on the short list to replace him? Now, if you've been watching the Twitter sphere, I think you guys already know. I tweeted about it in my posting video. Better go ahead and open that up right now so that the tweet gets sent. There you go. Bingo, bango, bongo. Let's go. David Blough. Lions list of offensive coordinator candidates reportedly includes former quarterback. That's right. Lions parted ways with OC John Morton on Tuesday. This is coming to us from SportsIllustrated.com. We will discuss this. But, guys, Chat, how do you feel? How do you guys feel? Before I tell you what's going on, like, comment, subscribe down below. Let me know, chat. How do you feel? You can't engage in the chat unless you're subscribed. How do you guys feel about this possibility of David Blough? I mean, this is quite a accelerated career trajectory for him, right? Like this is kind of, oh, dude, if we have lag issues. Oh, yep. Okay, hang on. Yep. Whoopsie poopsie. Let's see if we can do this. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. Boom. Okay. Okay, are we back now? Are we back? I was on the wrong network. Sorry, guys. Sorry if there was some serious lag going on there. I was on I wasn't on my Wi-Fi up here. I was on the Wi-Fi downstairs. There we go. You piece of shit. You piece of shit. Gonna go all John Bravo on him. Yeah, but the David Blough talk. Huh? We'll discuss once we get there. Obviously, we're having some technical difficulties right out the rip. And then Lions re-sign. Guys, we're going to keep talking Lions news because, look, kind of trending in the positive. I said pause, bitch. I said pause. I said pause, bitch. There you go. The Lions re-signed several players, including a talented young defensive back, right? So what we're going through right now is we're signing like futures contracts to guys, dudes who have like exclusive free agent rights. Just kind of considering how well some of these guys played on the active roster, I hate saying that they're developmental pieces, but they're guys who are good. Our coaching staff sees a possibility for him there, and there's some guys on here that I'm excited about. I'm excited about, right? I'm excited about. One in particular is a talented young DB. If you guys have been watching the show for any extended period of time, I think you know who it is because I got a big old boner over guys who played in the UFL. I think that guys who worked their way up through the UFL ranks take that non-traditional route, that I refuse to quit route. Look, I think that's a little bit of, they're not going to be the best guys, but, you know, there is a bit of an edge that is already established in them that I personally think fits with what the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell really tried to do here. So big props to guys like Jacob Sailors, Jake Bates, and a talented young DB. I wonder who that could be. And then finally, in traditional Brad Holmes fashion. All right, guys. All right, let's do this. Let's do it. Let's quickly do it. Let's get all hype over a injured, highly talented college product who has a debilitating career-altering injury and ended up going undrafted. Let's go. Lions sign former college football best 2024 center to futures contract. The Lions have signed a young offensive lineman who was named the best college football center in 2024. So he was active this year with Cincinnati. We will discuss. How do we feel about this guy? How do we feel about this guy? You know what I'm saying? Talk about like... here I am just slurping down the Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid. Brad Holmes is just pouring me glass out. He's serving me doubles of it, dude, because I'm all like, we got to get away from the injured players. We got to stop doing this. Brad Holmes needs to be more aggressive. And then here I am like, oh, yeah, this guy's really good. Yeah, no, this guy had a great college career. Sure, yeah, he had a debilitating career, possibly career-ending injury at one point in college. But yeah, this guy's good. And Brad Holmes like, perfect, sign him up. And I'm like, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good there, bud. Yep, so here I am, being an idiot. Let's go, UFO. All right, guys. So, what's up, Brent Lightington? Or Lighton. My bad, dude. Is it Brent? Yeah, Brent Lighton. What's up, dude? Good to see you you were able to make it, dude. Appreciate you hanging out in the chat, dude. You guys, if you want, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you can engage in the chat. We do have a poll up. 1 like equals 1 bye-bye, Johnny Moe. And so far, of the 11 votes cast, 100% of you say, see you later, toots. See you later. See you later, toots. We got our little snub-nosed 38 in our chest, our shoulder holster, right? And then we're all of a sudden turned into a 1930s gumshoe. You know what I'm saying? See you later, toots. And out the door we go. Johnny Mo. Your other option is, of course, yeah, I can't even be mad. So there's really no wrong. There's really no wrong answer there. What's up, James Ref? Good to see you guys. Villain Pride's here. My mom's hanging out. Jack2125's hanging out. I seen Mr. Detroit City was lurking. Yeah, he's on his way to Orlando doing big work, big work. American Boxer. Dude, I know that you were hype about that Johnny Mo. My guy, American Boxer, you sniffed out Johnny Mo from the jump, dude. Your bullshit meter is locked in, brother. You were just like, this dude's a fraud. Like right out the jump, my guy. I got to call it. Balls and strikes. American Boxer had Johnny Mo pinned down from the jump. Brandy Coffee's hanging out. Rick C is here, guys. Mr. Figs, what's up, dude? What's going on? Shout out Brett Lighton, one of the newer add-ons here, dude. Appreciate you hanging out, checking out the live show, dude. It's a little bit, had some technical difficulties right out of the rip. But, guys, good news on the horizon. I do have a new camera, a new AI-assisted PTZ camera. I'm very excited about it. We'll upgrade from this son of a bitch that I've had since 2019, this old clanker, this old junk box. Your days are limited, bitch. Your new replacement will be here tomorrow. But you know, those things. What's up, Sam? Sam Armstrong. What's up, dude? Good to see you, bro. I haven't seen you in a couple days, man. Hopefully you're doing well, yo. So subscribe to the channel. Ring the notification bell. You can be notified every single time we go live. Appreciate all of you guys. So YouTube doesn't quite know what to do with our standalone VODs that we've been releasing. But if I look at the metrics from day 1 to day 2, y'all are OGs, legit, for real. Thank you guys for watching the whole thing, for sharing it. So YouTube's testing it out with subscribers, and my click-through rate is really, it is almost doubling between Monday and Tuesday. We went from 4.0 to about 6 or a 7.3. I think we're down to about 6.969. Very nice. But still doing well. So we're testing it out a little bit. I appreciate all you guys and doing all the heavy lifting down there. Like this video, share it around with all of your friends. If you don't have any friends, that's cool. I don't really either. I might just be an AI that exists inside of your little slave square here. I'm just your dopamine guy. So, you know, what you can do is you can circumvent having to admit that you're a fan of the Hat and Beard Show. And what you can do is you can just copy this link down on your clipboard. But do me a favor, if you do that, do it like 20 times, because every single time you do it, it counts as an individual share. It's a good way to kind of circumvent the clanker overlords that we have to deal with here, that pick and choose who gets to be successful in the YouTube sphere. All right, guys, now that's out of the way. Let's get into the show.
If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well, then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
All right, shout out Brent Lighton. I got to admit, dude, he said Johnny Mo would make a great offensive assistant. Now, I don't disagree with you, but look, if Johnny Mo's screens were to pick up the phone right now and be like, Hat, what do you think I should do? I'd be like, brother, I got you. There's a perfect job opportunity. It just opened up. Okay. Now, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. There's a lot of job openings occurring in the NFL right now. But what I think Johnny Mo needs to do is really niche down to his, lean into his skill sets, right? The Burger King up the road just had an assistant manager job open up. And I think since he is so good at packaging shit, that's exactly where he should go, is just down the road here. There is an assistant manager job opened up for him at the Burger King. Ravens, though, there's another fire John Harbaugh after 18 seasons. Now, let's be honest. There is always an end, right? There is always an end of a career. But a guy like John Harbaugh, right? Probably one of the longest tenured head coaches in the NFL, one of the longest active head coaches, and then you compound that with 18 years as exclusively one team's head coach, right? The Super Bowl victory. What do we say, like 15 above 500, so 15 winning seasons, right? Personally, I think that he has been kneecapped by the scary sparkle experience at the quarterback position. But that's just my personal opinion. My cat is fighting its own shadow in the corner. So let's be real, though. John Harbaugh going to have the pick of the litter, right? He's going to be able to basically pick and choose. And now, let's be honest. Isn't he like 63 years old? Maybe he just, ahoy, matey. Ahoy, matey, and set sail into retirement, flying high into the wild blue yonder. You never know, dude. He very well could. A missed 44-yard field goal on the final play of the 2025 regular season will mark the end of one of the NFL's longest tenured head coaches. The Baltimore Ravens have fired John Harbaugh after narrowly failing to clinch the NFC North and a playoff spot that went with his in his Jesus Christ 18th season with the team. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, blah blah blah. Harbaugh, who took over the Ravens in 2008, I was 20 years old, ends his historic run, helming the club with a 180 and 113 regular season record. Jeez Louise, that is a triple-digit wins. That's just like, dude, you got to coach for, you got to be a pretty good coach over, a pretty good span. You either got to be really, really good in a short span or you got to be pretty dang good over an extended period. And my guy's pushing 200 wins, dude. That's pretty good. Having reached 12 playoffs, 4 AFC title games, and won a Super Bowl, he leaves the winningest coach in franchise history by 100 victories. Now, Baltimore is not the oldest program in existence. Following a comprehensive evaluation of the season and the overall direction of our organization, I decided to make a change at head coach. Today, I informed John that he has been relieved of his duties. Insert old man poopy britches joke. Ravens owner Steve Biscotti said in a statement on Tuesday that it was an incredibly difficult decision, given the tremendous 18 years we have spent together and the profound respect I have for John as a head coach, and most importantly, as a great man of integrity. He is, and I admit that one of the most iconic images, I think, of John Harbaugh showing the compassion he has for the players as not just a coach but a man, was when him walking with the kicker that missed the field goal right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it showed that he is more than just a really good coach. He's a really good man. You know what I'm saying? Through what I firmly believe is a Hall of Fame coaching career, I also agree that John Harbaugh has a Hall of Fame career. He has delivered a Super Bowl championship to Baltimore and served as a steadfast pillar of humility and leadership. He and his family have deeply embedded themselves in this community. For these profound contributions on and off the field, we should all be forever grateful. I do. Did Baltimore ever get the 1 seed under John Harbaugh? Because if that's the case, he has the opportunity to do what Sean Payton just did, and that is he would be the 4th head coach in NFL history to lead 2 teams in separate conferences to the number 1 seed, which is pretty impressive. I think it's Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Jimmy Johnson? What am I? Does it? Man, this is where I need that. I need Stat Boy. If you guys remember from the early days of Around the Horn, which is gone now, Stat Boy was just like a character. He wasn't the host, but Stat Boy, and Stat Boy would pull up stats. He was like a proto Jamie from JRE. The Ravens have been among the most successful teams in the league under Harbaugh, but on the heels of an 8-9 season, after entering September as a top Super Bowl contender, Baltimore has recognized a need for a change. Okay. Y'all better have a really good plan. Yeah, listen here, Arthur. Oh, Dutch. All I'm saying, Dutch, is you better have a real good plan. I have a plan, Arthur. Well, Dutch, you better have a real good plan here, because you're moving on from a Hall of Fame caliber head coach. You better have a hell of a plan. I was hoping for a kind of different message on my last day here. someday, but that day has come today. Harbaugh said in a statement on Tuesday, "It comes with disappointment, certainly, but more with gratitude and appreciation," all in big words. I'm guessing that is a statement of his coaching caliber. Gratitude to the owner and organization who was willing to bring in a head coach who made his mark with special team success. A difficult thing to do. And appreciation for all the moments, all these years that are etched into eternity. That's right. Baltimore was one of several NFL heavyweights to falter this season, similar to the Detroit Lions. The team started 1-5, unable to avoid digging a hole. The star quarterback, Scary Sparkle Spice Lamar Jackson, suffered a hamstring injury in Week 4 and missed 3 games. The defense was likewise dinged by injuries. 5 straight wins followed the Week 7 bye week to claw back above 500, evident of Harbaugh's culture, as well as the team's talent and mettle. But consecutive losses after that point put Baltimore in desperation mode. Harbaugh and co. led the penultimate week of the season, needing to win out and get lucky. Jackson, a mainstay in the injury report all season, missed Week 17, but the Ravens still ran all over the Green Bay Packers for a win. And the aforementioned luck shined on them as the Pittsburgh Steelers were upset by the Cleveland Brown Eyes to set up a face-off for the division on Sunday Night Football of Week 18. It's... Oh my goodness, the entertainment! Oh, the pomp and circumstance, the narratives around the storyline of these two iconic historic franchises squaring off in a bitter rivalry. One wins and gets in, the other, well, they will face ultimate defeat and be bounced from playoff contention. On Sunday Night Football, all eyes will be on us. Think of the viewership, my lord. Think of the viewership. They'll all be watching us. Yes. A characteristically low-scoring affair between the Ravens and Steelers suddenly turned electric in the fourth quarter, featuring 4 lead changes in the final minutes of the play. The Ravens nearly made it 5 thanks to a desperate fourth down conversion and subsequent kneel down to set up a 44-yard field goal attempt by Tyler Loop. Down 26-24. You can't write it any better than this. The rookie kicker instead missed his first career field goal attempt under 50 yards. Damn. I didn't know that it was his first miss under 50. Ooh, that sucks, dude. Damn. All right. Like, I get why he's like being really hard on himself, but for real, y'all Baltimore fans that are being like terribly disrespectful to him, his family, and his kids, y'all are fucking disgusting animals. Like, for real. Like, the way y'all are acting, it's like, dude, just send him to Venezuela. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want nothing to do with you. Sending the Ravens home for the playoffs and snapping a 2-year streak of division titles. I almost said titties. In some ways, it's fitting that Harbaugh's run as the Ravens head coach ended via a battle to the wire against Mike Tomlin, the only longer tenured active head coach in their 40th head-to-head meeting. This is the 6th time Harbaugh has missed the postseason and only the 2nd time in the past 8 years. But the overall struggle of the campaign and fickleness of championship window apparently convinced Baltimore to try to jolt itself back into contention under a new voice. And the rest of this is just talking about Harbaugh's career. We already know this. We talked about all of this yesterday. Harbaugh, 63, only the 3rd coach in Ravens history, will certainly be a candidate for any other team with a vacancy across the league. Now, I have seen some reports. Apparently, Big Blue is in contention for everybody right now. There is some rumors that John Harbaugh is like hot and heavy over being the head coach of the New York Giants and getting to play with Jackson Fart and Dart and really flourish his young career. I think that would be a nice. I think that Jackson Dart offers a lot of athletic upside that John Harbaugh is already kind of accustomed to dealing with Scary Sparkle Spice there, but also offers a tremendously better arm and a more overall quarterback pocket presence that the NFL is kind of shifting back towards, but a little bit of a less running, more mobile, if that makes sense. I realize that we're splitting hairs here. But yeah, I think that would make a good sense. But some reports I've seen is that Big Blue is all hot and heavy for your boy Philip Rivers, which that also makes sense though. If it were me, I don't think I would be trying to make the most wild career jump in NFL coaching and coaching history, period. If Phillip Rivers makes the jump from high school football head coach to season finishing starting quarterback in the NFL after coming out of retirement at 100,000 years old, and then becomes the head coach of a football team that is the largest media market in the world. It bottles the mind. It's two turnips in some heat. You know what I'm saying? Like it's some Rickyisms all over the place. It'd be like, who's mowing? I'm mowing the air, Randers. You know what I'm saying? Quickly though, because we're not going to take too much of a dancing on the grave here. Guys, yes. Ding dong. Johnny Mo is gone. John Morton, Lions fire offensive coordinator John Morton after one season. This is coming to us directly from ESPN. This isn't a Lions beat writer. This is from ESPN. Eric Woodard, straight from the fish's face. The Lions have fired offensive coordinator John Morton after one season. The team announced on Tuesday. Make sure to engage in the poll so that you can partake in this chat. Morton, 56, was brought in to replace small PP Benedict Arnold Osama Ben Johnson, the trader in the Windy City, who was hired as the head coach of the Chicago Bears after the Lions' record-setting 15-win season in 2024. Detroit finished 9-8 this season and failed to reach the playoffs for the first time since 2022. Head coach Dan Campbell took over offensive play calling duties for Morton. We know this in Week 10, coming off the 27-24 upset loss to Minnesota. Yeah, that was a not fun game. I remember that. Campbell said he hadn't decided whether he'll remain play caller moving forward. I'm open to anything. I don't know exactly where I'm at yet. I guess one good thing, if I did that, you won't have to worry about anybody else leaving. We talked about that yesterday, right? I'm going to think it all through. We talked about this yesterday. Detroit was among the league leaders in total points per game with 28.3. It was 7 points more than that. It was hovering at like 26, 23.25 or 35.6 when Laporta was on the field, but still struggled to find an offensive identity outside of home run plays this season, despite having Pro Bowl selections with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, among other players. Under Johnson, the Lions led the NFL with 33.2 points per game in 2024. They also had a league-leading interception maker, guy who led the NFL in interception. I'm trying to think of the proper way. We had Kirby Joseph, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, we had Kirby Joseph picking everybody off, giving you ample extra possessions. Morton was also previously part of Campbell's offense in 2022, the last time we missed the playoffs. Oh, causation equals correlation, or whichever the way that phrase is. We're connecting dots. John Morton is bad for Lions business. Ooh, yeah. He is a native of Rochester Hills, Michigan. Well, good. There's plenty of Burger Kings that are around that area, dude. Knock your socks off, right? So yeah, that's about that. John Morton was let go. And who are we going to replace him with? Chat, how do we feel? Chat, chickadee, chat. Go mobile QB or go broke? Ugh, I'm not wild about mobile QBs. Cat got into the weed again. Nah, man, Ivor's just weird, dude. Ivor likes to, fuck with stuff in the corners. And then, right now, I've got like a sewing desk and some tables, basically it's just where I pile all my shit, right? I got all my shit over here, and he likes to go under everything, and he's way back in the corner. He's just a weird dude, man. He's a weird dude, and if he's not doing that, he just lays right in the middle of the floor and stares at me. And sometimes Bjorn be up in here, but Bjorn's not too wild about me being loud on camera. He'll be coming around when I'm not on camera, but Bjorn don't like it when I'm on camera. Yeah, Harbaugh will be the top head coach this cycle, for sure. The offense was in shambles from game one. Gibbs being misused. J-Mo nowhere to be found till after the bye. Gruden glazed. Johnny Mo. That's true. You know what, dude? Sam, you're right, dude. You're right. John Gruden did give Johnny Moe a stamp of approval. Good point, dude. Good point. You're kind of changing my mind on the. I was already kind of off the John Gruden bandwagon when I believe it was Brent DeWitt made the connection that the last thing the Lions need is the NFL to have any more leverage over us, and John Gruden would just be not good. Not good. When Lamar wanted to come here, I said I wouldn't trade Goff for him straight up and got laughed at. I wouldn't. I'm with you though, Brent. I'm with you though. I wouldn't have traded Goff for dipshit either. Oh hell yeah! Thanks, Brandy. I appreciate that, dude. Thank you. I think Johnny Morton will be an assistant in Chicago next season. Oh, good. I hope he does. Oh, you guys aren't in it with Blough, huh? You ain't wild about Blough. You want him to go kick rocks and flip flops? No Gruden. Fair enough. Interviewing McCarthy for head coach. Yeah, Jack. I've seen Mike McCarthy's getting some run in some interviews, or at least getting some traction as some names being floated around there. But I'm not wild about Mike McCarthy. He just strikes me as a Andy Reid greasy cheeseburger eating fuck. You know what I'm saying? I ain't wild about that, dude. All right, so to kind of bookend the Johnny Morton conversation, Lions' list of offensive coordinator candidates reportedly includes former QB David Blough. Let's go, Blough. All right, so the first domino for a critical offseason, the Lions fell Tuesday when we fired John Morton, blah, blah, blah. Ben Johnson, blah, blah, blah. Mere hours after Morton's firing, the Lions reportedly have our intriguing candidate in mind for the role. According to Ian Rappaport, the Lions have started off their offensive search with David Blough, who is the backup quarterback to Detroit from 19 to 21, and then returning for a brief second stint in 23 on the team's practice squad. Blough made 7 starts and 9 appearances over 4 NFL seasons, most recently starting 2 games for the Cardinals 4 seasons ago. He was hired by the Commanders as an assistant QB coach last year and promoted to interim QB coach in December once Tavita Pritchard left to become Stanford's coach. Okay. He started 5 games for the Lions. Don't care. He has familiarity with Campbell as the Lions coach was hired before the last season of Blough's first stint in Detroit. The Lions OC search has begun, but they may look to a recent former player to fill the vacancy. Why do I think this makes sense? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Jared Goff and Ben Johnson give a lot of credit to David Blough for drawing up plays during the game, for kind of orchestrating and designing some of our more elaborate play calling that can take advantage of? I know that David Blough isn't flashy, okay? He doesn't come with a highly touted pedigree yet, but he does have familiarity with the organization. I know that blew up with us with John Morton. However, he's a former player, and we know that Dan Campbell has had relatively good success with these former players turned coordinators. Do I think David Blough is the right choice? No, I don't think David Blough is the right choice. I am a Hank Fraley stan, and I think we should promote from within. Will I be upset if we go the David Blough route? Absolutely not. I will be not overly enthralled, but I won't be disappointed. Grandma Wagon David Blough gets signed as our offensive coordinator, fully indicated that Dan Campbell will continue as play caller for the Detroit Lions. What David Blough then brings is a low-cost, low-salary offensive contributor sitting in the offensive coordinator role, right? Someone who can help build the week-to-week plan, but when assholes meet elbows and we're in the thick of it, Dan Campbell still is going to be able to be the guy without stepping on toes or hurting feelings, making all the play calls, making all the decisions. Blough probably understands that's how Dan Campbell operates. It's probably something he's familiar with, and it would be I would imagine, a very detailed understanding of the reality and expectations of David Blough in the role that he would be hired for, although the role itself would probably just be title only, more of a offensive implementation coordinator, not so much of an offensive coordinator. Does that make sense? Does that matter? If you're a coordinator that doesn't call plays, how are you even a coordinator? You're an implementation specialist at that point. You're a practice, a game plan development. I understand coordinator is about the only term that really fits it, but if you're not calling plays, are you really coordinating anything? You know what I'm saying? And not for nothing, I think coordinator is kind of an HR term for the role. You know what I'm saying? What do we feel about that, chat? I'd rather have Dan Orlovsky than David Blough. No shit, dude. No shit. But you know what, though? At least David Blough never ran out of the back of the end zone. Truth be told, I was really high on Dan Orlovsky when he came out of college. I watched him play in I think a bowl game at UConn, and I was like, oh, damn, this dude's good. And then the Lions drafted him. I was like, oh, yeah, Dan Orlovsky, dude. This is the guy. And then he ran out of the back of the end zone, and I was like, oh, I'm stupid. I'm going to stick to what I know, offensive and defensive linemen. Give me Brian Daboll. Carrie, I like Brian Daboll. I think that is who we should go after is Brian Daboll. I'm pretty much fully bought into the Patriot way happening out in Vegas. Daboll is the OC for Flores as the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland. Experience will be key. That is true, dude. That is true. I'm out on MCDC if he brings in Blough. No shit, dude. Man, you guys really aren't high on Blough, huh? There are a couple of offensive head coaches that are fired that might be looking for an OC or looked at for an OC. Gotcha, yeah. When is Romo going to coaching opportunity? Dude calls every play before the huddle breaks. Honestly, dude, Rick, I get where your head's at, but like he's got it made, dude. He's got the easiest job, bro. He gets to be a coordinator and diagnose plays while sitting in a cushy booth, right? Just calling it, collecting a fat salary, and then he doesn't have to deal with all the off-season implementation, the player nonsense. Bro, he's got it made, dude. If I was Tony Romo, I'd just be collecting that paycheck, brother. You know what I'm saying? Lions need to bring in a steady presence to the OC position. Blough can be an assistant, needs to prove himself and get much-needed experience. I get that. Romo might be working a few hours a week. Coaches work more hours per day than announcers do. Exactly, Brent. Exactly, dude. Exactly. Sam, I'm going to be honest. I don't like Cliff Kingsbury, dude. I am not a Cliff Kingsbury guy, dude. You know what I'm saying? The Miami head coach, who was a running backs coach under Shanahan, is used to working with speed. Yeah, Brent, but Mike McDaniel, that's who you're talking about. He ain't going nowhere, dude. That's the guy that I wanted. Again, we don't root for people to lose their jobs, but I was kind of hoping that Miami would follow suit with the complete overhaul after they, get rid of their GM, overhaul everybody, McDaniel experience go away. I really wanted the Lions to bring in Mike McDaniel, dude. If we go the Blough route, then it is a clear indicator that Dan Campbell's going to be calling the plays. Because, like you guys say, Blough doesn't have the experience. And I get that you guys want him to get the experience, but I kind of understand where Dan Campbell's at. Basically, you're hiring, at least theoretically, David Blough to just be a cheap positional placeholder, right? You understand what I'm trying to do. This is what we're going to do. I'm calling the plays. You're just keeping the booth warm, more or less. You're giving me advice. You're telling me what you see, but ultimately I'm calling the shots, which I'm not completely against, right? Like, again, I don't think that we can completely say our offense wasn't as productive last year because Dan Campbell was calling the plays. Our offense wasn't as productive last year because A, our offensive line was shitbox all season long, and B, we didn't have as many takeaways on defense, giving us an inflated value on offense by we'll call bonus possessions. You know what I'm saying? We were able to pad stats out on touchdowns because we beat Tennessee 50 to some points, and we started with like 5 possessions on their side of the 50. Special teams and takeaways led to those opportunities that gave us bonus possessions that allowed us to mildly inflate our stats. When you look at it outside of the running game, Jared Goff was a top 3, top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Amon-Ra and J-Mo both went over 1,000 yards, well over 1,000 yards. Sam Laporta was on pace for being over 1,000 yards. Injuries, Frank Ragnow, Kevin Zeitler, yes, John Morton, right? But after Dan Campbell took play calls away from John Morton, I think our offense did stabilize and get better. So what I think Dan Campbell, or at least the mentality with David Blough, is it's not flashy, it's not sexy, it's not going to make headlines outside of people are going to grumble and they're going to groan. I think he's trying to get back to, he said that in his interview, he's trying to get back to what we were doing a couple years ago. Well, a couple years ago, David Blough was on the coaching staff. David Blough had input in how we were dressing plays, how we were devising schemes, and it was successful. I think he's trying to get back to a little bit of stability, not so much up and down. I don't want to be a Mr. Flashy, Mr. Screens all the time, long developing plays. I need to get back to what we do, tough, gritty nose football. I need to get back to, not for saying that it's completely John Morton's fault, because Dan Campbell did have play call or did take over play calling opportunities, so part of it is on him. But we need to get back to utilizing our 2 running back attack. You know what I'm saying? We need to get back to what we do well. David Blough does come from that time period. You know what I'm saying? He does understand what we're trying to do, what the mentality was then. And if the mentality is Dan Campbell's still going to have the ultimate play calling, then yeah, David Blough kind of fits that job description. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you, Rick. If you're committed to Goff, let Goff pick the OC. I think that if you want to have success with your offensive coordinator, the 2 most important people that need to have input on that, as far as players are concerned, are Jared Goff and Penei Sewell. They are the foundationary pieces of your offense. They are the 2 that make everything go, right? Penei Sewell was talking about how he's disappointed with the season that he had. Y'all realize that Penei Sewell graded out as the second best player in the NFL, according to PFF, behind Puka Nacua, and Penei Sewell's like, I had a terrible season. I'm mad at myself. He said it's going to be bothering him all off season. So he's going to be pissed off next year and going to be playing angry. And he still was the second highest graded player in the entire league, according to PFF. Take that for what it's worth. You know what I'm saying? For Tom Brady in Tampa, went to the Saints maybe and vanished. Jack, I don't know who that is, man. I think Goff should become his own OC, call his own plays like Peyton used to. Well, and Brent, see? So, okay. There you go. Boom. David Blough can be the Adam Gase to Jared Goff. Does that make sense? Adam Gase was Peyton's OC in Denver, got the too many opportunities because Peyton was his own OC. Adam Gase was just kind of there, right? So if that's the route, doesn't David Blough kind of meet that? Doesn't that David Blough kind of fit that mold? You know what I'm saying? Just a guy, you know what I'm saying? Dan Campbell has this tendency. He got used to Ben Johnson making good play calling and just expected Johnny Moe to follow the same process. That's fair. Need to draft the best center. Yeah, dude, we do need to draft the best center. I am all in on Slaughter from Florida. That's who I'm all in on, is Slaughter. Brunell is a better QB, and I'm guessing smarter mind than Blough. And, Mr. Detroit City, this could just be who the top, or not the top, but one of the names who was outside of the organization that we're interviewing. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't really known that Hank Fraley interviewed, right? That Hank Fraley was going to go elsewhere, but then was promoted to run game coordinator as well as offensive line coach. You know what I'm saying? Hank Fraley wants to be an offensive coordinator. I actually wondered the very same thing last year. I kind of thought Mark Brunell was going to be the guy, because it kind of made sense, right? Mind meld with Jared Goff, understands what we're trying to do, former player, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But maybe Mark Brunell doesn't want that. You know what I'm saying? That which look, man, we've seen scuttlebutt that JT Barrett is possibly a candidate for our offensive coordinator job. I like Jim Bob Cooter. Hell yeah, dude. I remember Jim Bob Cooter, dude. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Jim Bob, don't let Stafford throw deep Cooter. Exactly, dude. Jim Bob, I need to not let Stafford do what he does well, Cooter. So, yeah, it's some things, just some things to keep an eye on, dude. The David Blough thing. I'm not over the moon about it, but if you think about it, doesn't it kind of make sense? He fits that Jared Goff understanding. If you want Goff to have his offensive coordinator, Blough's the guy. If you want a guy if you want Goff to be his own offensive coordinator, you just kind of need an Adam Gase to fill the role. Well, and you want a guy to get experience, why not just do it now? Why wait 2 years? Why not just do it now? If the plan is to basically have him be Adam Gase, why wait for him to get seasoning someplace else if you're just going to have him be Adam Gase? If you're going to Adam Gase David Blough, just do it now. Ha! I love it. If you're going to Adam Gase David Blough, just do it now. That's it, dude. If you're going to Adam Gase David Blough, just do it now. All right, so the Lions re-signed several players, including a talented young DB. Who could that be? Who could it be now? All right, guys, so obviously we have some exclusive free agent rights to sign. The Lions have re-signed 3 exclusive free agents. My guy, plug your ears, Mr. Detroit City, my guy, Jacob Sailors. Michael Neese, not wild about that. I don't like that. I am... And look, dude, I don't know Michael Neese from Adam. He could be a really cool guy. I just don't think you're it. Look, dude, you're a better NFL or a better football player than I ever could be, right? You're in the NFL. Tip of the hat, right? Wag of the finger to myself. But I'm just not sold on you, brother. I'm just not sold on you. And my guy, Nick Whiteside. Yeah, dude, Nick Whiteside. I think Nick Whiteside is going to end up being what Enos the Penis Breakstraw was supposed to be. I think ultimately what you're going to see is the old second round guy with first round pedigree gets drafted, injuries, never quite makes it. And this isn't nothing against Enos Rakestraw, dude. I don't know him from Adam either, right? But his availability is the best ability. And then on the inverse of that, you got this guy, Nick Whiteside, bounced around practice squads, went to the UFL, came back, practice squad, had some opportunities, made the best of his opportunities, practice squad, back up on the active roster, grinding it out, grittiness, dude. That's why I like these XFL, your UFL players, dude. They got a little bit of that grit, a little bit more of that dog in them. You know what I'm saying? That Amon-Ra in them versus like a T. Higgins. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got a little bit more grittiness to him. You know what I mean? They also inked 9 additional players to reserve future contracts, including Jabari Smalls, Jackson Meeks, Malik Cunningham, Zach Horton, Devin Cochran, Mason Miller, Ahmed, the Egyptian magician, the Hammer, Hassanin, Chris Smith, and Lauren Strickland. The ERFA tag is given to players who have had or fewer accrued NFL seasons whose contracts have expired. When a team extends an ERFA tender, the player is barred from negotiating with other teams. The only options are to accept the 1-year tender, typically at or near league minimum, or sit out the season. Basically, it's a cost-controlled way of keeping talented young players in-house while continuing to evaluate them. I like this. So among the ERFA trio, Nick Whiteside was the most impactful contributor during the 2025 season. Yeah, I think Sailors did okay in kick returns, and I think he does offer an upside as a third-string reserve running back. Though I'm not taking away from what Nick Whiteside did. This is my favorite. He's my favorite player of all the guys mentioned. An undrafted cornerback who'd spent multiple seasons cycling between Detroit's practice squad and active roster. Whiteside appeared in 9 regular season games and finished with 5 tackles and 3 PBUs. Running back Jacob Sailors, who joined Detroit as an undrafted rookie in 2025, played limited offensive role and finished the season with 2 carries for 11 yards. In college, Sailors showed versatility as both a runner and receiver, so it's no surprise the Lions want to keep him around to develop further. Interior offensive lineman Michael Neese, do not care, right? And then it's everybody else. Not going to go into too much detail on that because we're running up on the 11 o'clock hour, and I got to get up and go and get down out of here so I can do another video for you guys so the Mad Hatter Nation stays satiated and satisfied with our content. Over here, we do have another guy that was signed. So we are going to focus on this so a little bit because it is a Brad Holmes. It's just the most Brad Holmes thing, dude. Do you guys agree with me, chat? How do we feel, chat? Neese is a beast, is a strong center, just not good yet. He's a beast. He's just not good yet. He is strong as fuck, though, dude. The NFL is the sun god. Hell yeah, dude. Oh, yeah, Mr. Figs. So, Ahmed Hassanin, we call him the Egyptian magician, the Hammer. The Hammer, Ahmed Hassanin, who I think would make a fantastic fullback for the Detroit Lions. That's what I think needs to happen with Ahmed, the Hammer Hassanin. So, zebras don't change their stripes, and they definitely don't do it overnight. Brad Holmes is going to do things that Brad Holmes has always done, and one of those things is he does like to give opportunities to really highly touted collegiate athletes that injured themselves and lost their opportunity during the draft process, right? And one of those guys is this center, Seth McLaughlin. McLaughlin, did I say it right? Mick, not Mac, McLaughlin, to a future contract. The future contract is a typical minimum salary. We talked about that. McLaughlin is 24 years old and went undrafted in 2025. He signed with the Bengals a couple weeks after the draft, and he spent the entire 25 season on the team's practice squad and was not elevated at any point. On Monday, Cincinnati signed 13 players from the practice squad to futures contracts, but McLaughlin was not one of them. So what's his college pedigree like? Where does this guy come from? Why is Brad Holmes giving an opportunity to a guy that, I'm going to spoil it, ruptured his Achilles tendon at the back end of his senior season? Why is he going after this practice squad reject from the Cincinnati Bumbles? Well, because Cincinnati Bumbles like to bumble, fumble, and stumble their way out of good talent, right? And when you look at where he played and the fact that he was the Remington Award winner, there is an understanding why an opportunity is given. Am I like, this is the future center for the Detroit Lions? I mean, anything's possible. Am I over the moon about it? No. Do I think it's a move in the right direction? I think it's a move. I don't think it's a move in the right or wrong direction. It is a move. It is a low risk, possibly a high reward gamble, right? But I don't think it's the worst move. The only critique I really have of it is we are wanting Brad Holmes to stop with this obsession with these injured players, the giving far too many opportunities. Emmanuel Mosley, Levi Onwuzurike, Josh Paschal, Marcus Poop Davenport, all of these opportunities to these guys who have far too much of an established history of being injury risks. Now, is this saying that McLaughlin is an injury risk? No. Is he proven? No. Exactly. Nothing is proven or known about him. That's why we went with this low-risk futures contract. Let's see how it all develops. Am I saying that this is the guy we need to go, yeah, I'm all off on Slaughter now? Yeah, fuck no. Fuck no. In college, McLaughlin was a 4-star recruit and committed to Alabama in 21. He worked his way up to a reserve player to a starter for the Crimson Tide's final 3 games of the season. He started another 8 games in 2022 for Alabama and was the full-time starter in 2023. Unfortunately, his time in Alabama came to an infamous end. In the team's playoff game against the Michigan Wolverines, he was responsible for a couple low snaps, including on the game's deciding play that caused Alabama to struggle and lose to the Wolverines. Ironically, McLaughlin entered the transfer portal and committed to The Ohio State University for the 2024 season. There, he thrived, earning the Remington Trophy, given to the best center in college football. PFF credited him with a 70.7 grade, 0 sack allowed, 7 pressures, and a 6.7.9. You can't write this shit. Run blocking grade. Unfortunately, after starting 10 games for the Buckeyes, McLaughlin ruptured his Achilles in a practice and missed out on Ohio State as Ohio State won the national championship. ESPN had McLaughlin as the best 2025 NFL prospect that went undrafted, and his Achilles injury likely had a big part in why he wasn't drafted. However, McLaughlin was cleared to practice and participated in most of the Bengals training camp. Detroit will likely be in the market for a center this offseason as they continue to adjust in the wake of Frank Ragnow's retirement in 2025. Graham Glasgow was primary starter this past season, but struggled at times. That's putting it nicely. He was at some times I wish that Jared Goff, instead of having a center, in Jared Goff's non-throwing hand, he could just have like a bag of flour that he could throw at defenders that would have done a better job in impeding them getting to him than Graham Glasgow did. And Detroit may not retain him for this year with a bulky $8.5 million cap hit. The Lions were grooming Kingsley Ngungun as depth at center, even starting him in 2 games as a reserve, but Detroit lost him when the Browns signed him off their practice squad. So I do think this is a depth wait and see what we got. Not going to hang our hat on him. Let's be honest, there is a greater than not possibility that Seth McLaughlin either ends up on the practice squad or not even in the Lions organization to begin with. Remember, last year, 2 years ago, we all got really hype and high over signing the Canadian Football Defensive Player of the Year, that defensive end who amounted to exactly nothing and never even made it out of training camp. You know what I'm saying? So it's a possibility. The one thing that I don't like about it is showing Brad Holmes still doing that Brad Holmes obsessed with highly talented, though injured often, or critically injured players. Not so high about that. Was kind of hoping to see a little bit of a change, and this is not necessarily showing or leaving me with a lot of confidence that the change is going to be made. However, it is just a futures contract. It's not going, here's $3 million, $80 million to a guy that has a ruptured Achilles. You know what I'm saying? It's a low risk, possibly high reward play. I'm not against it. I'm not high on it, but I'm not against it. I think it's a reasonably sound maneuver to make in the wake of having such a down year, specifically at the center position post Frank Ragnow. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not mad about it. How do you guys feel about this? Learn about the killer from Cairo. They ain't hiring David Blough. Yeah, Derek, I'm gonna be honest, dude. I'm not like entirely sold that David Blough is gonna be the guy. I just think that it does fit certain narratives, and right now it's just the name that was released. It's a name that they can build articles around. It's content. You know what I'm saying? It's content. It's an article that can be written and people will talk about it. It got traction and people are talking about it, so they're gonna kind of keep peddling it a little bit. I mean, I'm over here talking about it. At least Brad didn't trade a third-round pick to get this player. There you go, Jack. I like that. They probably go out on the market to get a center. They only have one first round and need a tackle. Yeah, Jack or Derek. I think that's probably the route that we go. I think we're probably going to end up going tackle in the first round, defensive end in the second round, and paying for a center or trying to acquire a center. Jackson Powers Johnson. Does Brad Holmes see himself in these injured players given the shot no one gave him? And that is a very distinct possibility. He has that little bit of a I wasn't given, so I will make sure that these guys have that opportunity. That's a good point, dude. Brad sees an error in his past judgment and acquires a bust-ass left tackle edge. Carrie, I agree with you. I just really hope that right now, unless I start hearing a lot of scuttlebutt around it changing, I'm off the Caden Proctor pick. We don't have too much time here. I would dive into some more prospects. We don't really have too much time. I like the kid out of Utah. I like the kid out of Miami. I think I would like to go defense first round, especially if like David Bailey's available, dude. If David Bailey falls, then yeah, that's kind of my guy right there. But I might get to tell the whole story sooner than I thought. Nice, dude. Rick, that's what's up, dude. We have no money to pay a decent center in free agency. We need to go OT in the first and center in the second and grab two safeties. Edge down the list now. Brent, yeah, we don't have any money right now. But if we're able to clear, so if you end up clearing not Frank Ragnow, Graham Glasgow and Taylor Decker, that frees up almost $20 million right there. There's a lot of expectation that Jared Goff's going to restructure his contract. You restructure Amon-Ra's contract. You're smart with your money. You make those moves right there. So restructure Goff's deal with void years. Do the same thing with Amon-Ra, and then you either Taylor Decker retires or you release Graham Glasgow or he retires. That alone will move us up into about the $90 million in cap range. You can also, if you really want to throw it in, you can move on from David Montgomery. That'll free up another like $6 or $8 million as well. And then now we can start kind of re-signing and restructuring guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, start adding void years, which kind of spreads out the cap a little bit more. There are games that can be played. I would move up in the draft to get tackle. We have the money to get a legit center in free agency. I agree with you, Art. I agree with you, dude. I think that we should try and make a play to get Jackson Powers Johnson. Brad doesn't like to steal much money from the future. That's true, but Brent, ultimately that's the direction that the NFL is going in, and if he wants to be able to be competitive in the money market, he is going to have to start to make these void year deals. He's going to have to start doing a little bit of it. Do you go all in and then end up in cap hell like the Saints have been in over the past 3 years? No, but you take a little bit of what the Eagles have done and you keep doing what you've been doing by drafting players. You kind of take some good, and then you blend it together, get a nice little mix. We'll be retiring this offseason. There's more money than it looks like. Exactly, Rick. Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's exactly. There is more money, especially if those guys. Yeah, dude, JPP would be. I so want the Lions to try and acquire JPP, dude. I really like that guy coming out of the draft, and I think he has a lot of upside and is still on a rookie contract. So, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you who took part in the poll. There's 20 votes today. One like equals bye-bye, Johnny Mo. See you later, Toots, with 90% of the vote. 10% of you say, yeah, can't even be mad. Thank you. Oh, yeah, JPJ. I keep saying JPP. Jason Pierre-Paul with his goofy fingers. He doesn't have the play calling experience, but he would understand play option. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I think I like the Hank Fraley promotion to center, dude. You know, or to center, to offensive coordinator. I kind of like that move. Hell yeah, Mr. Detroit City, USA. Appreciate all of you being patriotic here in Mad Hatter Nation, guys. This is a home for based NFL and super based Lions fans. We are a island of sanity and a sea of nonsense. Thank you so much to Mad Hatter Nation. Each and every one of you have an awesome day. Make sure to slap like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video around with all your friends. Keep it locked and loaded. About 4 o'clock, we're going to be uploading our second video of the day. You guys are doing some yeoman's work over there for me, getting it hyped up. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Until next time, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., bonga bonga.